wines of Burgundy are perfumed, complex, ethereal. There are two grape varieties in Burgundy, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And there are 5 districts in Burgundy: Chablis, Côte d'Or, Mâconnais, Côte Chalonnaise, and Beaujolais. But the key, the most prestigious wine district in Burgundy is the Côte d'Or, the slopes of gold. Some people say because the slopes turn yellow in the fall. Others would say because it's the most expensive vineyard property in the world. Hello and welcome to Taste the Wine. Like Bordeaux, Burgundy too has plenty of history and it's the stuff of legend. It's a landlocked area in the heart of France with a population of little over 1.5 million people. Home to some of the most expensive wines in the world, key points to take note of here are the areas where the grapes are grown. Red Burgundies are commonly made from Pinot Noir grapes, so let's take a stroll around the region and meet some of Burgundy's top winemakers. We're sitting here above beautiful Moret-Saint-Denis, maybe waiting for the rain to fall. Can you tell me a little bit about the area?
Well, Moret-Saint-Denis is a village which is not that well known beside Gevrey-Chambertin and Vaune-Romanée, maybe, but this is, we have vines here since almost 2,000 years, when the Romans came to invade Burgundy and France. They brought also vineyards with them, but Moret-Saint-Denis was one of the first villages where the Romans planted vines.
We're in one of the most beloved, admired, revered wineries in the world. What is the history behind Domaine Romanée-Conti?
Well, it's a history that started 2,000 years ago, like all this part of Burgundy where we are, where people at one point realized that the potential of the area was extremely great for making great wines. And one category of people who were extremely important were the monks, who during the Middle Ages and until the 15th century really created what we call today the climat, which is a terroir, and delineated the vineyards and put together a whole process of winemaking here that is very special.
Pinot Noir has been called the most romantic of wines. And though the grape variety is grown around the world, Burgundy is where it's primarily known. Pinot is French for pine, while Noir represents black. The grapes are shaped like a pine cone, and hence the name. I met some winemakers in the region who told me more about it. So we're focused on harvest as the pivotal moment here, but the vineyard work takes place all year round. Can you talk about that?
It is. I mean, we are first and foremost viticulturists and grape growers. We are winemakers ultimately second. So, making wine and selling wine is what our livelihood depends on, but most of our time is spent growing the grapes. The making of the wine is 3 weeks a year. It's not all that much. Beyond that, so really most of our efforts go into the vineyard work to bring in healthy, clean fruit of the right ripeness. And if we have that right, the wine really does tend to make itself.
This one, pull off the MOG, that's called material other than grapes. And then I'm looking for any moldy grapes. Nope, good shape. That's a gorgeous one, look at that. I'm with Pierre Vincent of Domaine Rougeret. Harvest is rolling in and we're standing next to the sorting table. Pierre, can you explain how the sorting table works? I see leaves, I see some crushed berries, some moldy. What are you looking for? How do you manage it?
Yes. In fact, we use 2 different sorting tables. So here, this is the first sorting table. This is a vibrating table. With this table, we select berries, good grapes. And for example, here it's a bad berries with a mushroom. So go through inside the sorting. Okay. And after, it will be the second sorting table. And after, with the second sorting table with people, and they select only the good grapes.
Now tell me, I'm seeing some grapes different sized on the cluster.
Yes. Typically grapes of Pinot Noir. Huh? It's a small grapes, so very good for quality, because with small grapes you have more concentration. And you can see here we have small berries. We say in French
it's the big berries together. Yep.
Yes. And we say in French it's mille rangs d'âge. Yeah, mille rangs d'âge. It's very interesting for quality because in fact you have less juice and more tannin and more color.
More color because the ratio is smaller.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's more interesting for quality. And with small berries, we have more sugar. The level of sugar it's more
intense.
Yes, more intense.
It's surprising because I think for most people we would think bigger grapes are better, but you're saying the combination is the best.
Yes, in fact the combination this is the best. And in fact the big grapes it's for table wine, for bad quality of wine.
Yes.
But for high quality of wine like Burgundy and Bordeaux, the better this is the small grapes with very small berries. It's really more interesting.
So after the wine has finished its maceration, its fermentation, what do you do next in the process?
In fact, when the alcoholic fermentation is finished, every day I taste the new wine, okay? And when I think it's okay, we have the good level of color, of tannin, we use the décuvage, okay? So we use a basket press, a traditional basket press, and we press the new wine, okay? And after the wine go down in cellar and directly by gravity.
One of the crucial components of winemaking is the acidity. Wine that's too low in acid can taste dull and flat. If a wine has too much, it can become too tart. That's why winemakers do their best to find just the right balance. Can you speak about acidity of Pinot Noir?
In fact, if you want to make a very good Pinot Noir, the level of acidity is very low. Okay, because when the grapes is very ripe, we have less acidity and more tannin. So in fact, the level of acidity is not important for me, for Pinot Noir.
And when Taste the Wine returns, I'll show you a bit more about barrel making, how to read wine labels, and plenty more about the lifestyles of Burgundy's winemakers. What I love about this area is that you're rolling through some of the finest vineyards in the world, one after another. The Grand Crus stack up. So you've got Moussigny, Clos de Vougeot, Grand Séchaux. They're names that, God, I love. Where would the wine world be without barrels? They add flavor, excitement, and texture to wine. Originally, it was just a utilitarian container, but eventually winemakers realized barrels lengthen tannins, concentrate fruit, and add an extra spice to the wine. With time, winemakers realized the size of the barrel, the way they are made, the toasting levels, the type of wood used, all affect the final wine quality. We are here today in the heart of Burgundy, where barrel making is a traditional art. I'm with Max Gigandet, with Francois Frère. Max, tell me, I see lots of old traditional tools, and then I see modern laser beams making your barrels. What is the tradition of the barrel making?
You know, the barrel making is a very, very old job from the Roman people. And today we still kept some traditional way to make the barrels, but at the same time we improve it with some new equipment. and to be a little bit more efficient.
What kind of new innovations do you see in the future?
In the future, you can mechanize, but the way we make barrels, it's a very premium and high quality product. We cannot mechanize too much.
Can you walk us through the barrel making process? What happens? The wood arrives?
Yes, so we season the wood outside for 2 or 3 years. After, we plane the staves, and we need around 30 staves to build the barrel. So all these staves are assembled together before to go to the toasting room. So after the toasting process is something very important for the barrel making, and it takes a while. We need more than 1 hour to bend and toast the inside of the barrel. After that, we need a machine that we use to make the crows, where we will put after the head inside.
It seems when looking at the barrels, everything is so handcrafted. Chestnut around the rim and so many things done by hand, pounding the hoops down by hand.
Yeah.
It seems like that could be mechanized. Why don't you do it mechanized?
I think we can do it. Some industries or some cooperages do it, but it's mostly for barrels like bourbon industry, which is another need of barrels. For the wine, we produce a lot of barrels, but at the end it's just a small percentage of the barrels in the world for the premium wines around the world.
If you like a good wine, then it certainly tastes better using a good glass. There's actually a specific wine glass that's used for Burgundy wines. The wide bowl releases Pinot Noir's gentle perfume, and the narrow mouth helps capture the aroma for our pleasure.
20 years ago or more, we have been invited to a tasting, and the theme of the tasting was the glass. And I rediscovered the wines of our estate with these glasses, and suddenly the wines were showing perfect, because I liked the idea to make the wine feel better.
Soil is one of the most interesting aspects of Burgundy, and different parts of the region have a soil character all their own. You have a lot of stones in your soil.
Burgundy's all clay and limestone. What type of clay, what type of limestone varies quite a lot depending on the erosion that took place over time. And the limestone table that's behind us with its sister soils, which are across in the Jura, and this is a collapsed plain of the Saône. And so all the stones that are here came from above on the slope and were brought down over time. Obviously, the further down you go, the smaller the pebbles, because they were carried further than the bigger ones that stayed further. Again, I emphasize that in viticulture and in winemaking, most is almost never good. The best soils are not at the very top of the hill, as one might think, because you think we need the most drainage. Well, up there it gets a little cold, it gets a little too dry. It's not at the bottom of the hill where it gets a bit too humid and the soils are a bit too deep and too vigorous. It's in the middle.
It's right here.
And this is Premier Cru, but it's one of the more it's one of the super Premier Crus, I guess, of the Côte d'Or and the Côte de Nuit. And really here, the drainage, the exposure, the amount of incline, everything is pretty much ideal for Pinot Noir. I mean, I'm not a neutral party in here. If you consider the best Pinot Noir in the world is grown in the Côte d'Or and in the Côte de Nuit, the soils in the middle here are the highlight or the Pinot Noir cannot hope to grow in a better place.
Nowhere are wine producers more conscious of the health of their soils than in Burgundy. Madame Bisleroy is a leading expert on biodynamics, an extreme form of organic farming.
Parce que depuis très longtemps, la viticulture me mettait très très mal à l'aise. Et je m'étais juré que si un jour j'étais responsable à part entière, donc complètement responsable d'un domaine, je ne ferais plus d'abord de chimie. Après, j'ai, par hasard, un article de journal paru dans la tribune de Genève que mon mari m'a montré, expliquait ce que c'était que la biodynamie. Donc, dès septembre, j'ai acquis ce domaine en avril 88. Et dès septembre 88, on a commencé sur l'ensemble des deux domaines dont j'étais responsable, c'est-à-dire le domaine Leroy et le domaine d'Auvenay, la biodynamie. Ça part d'un constat que tout est vivant, les plantes, la terre, aussi bien que au même titre que les animaux et que nous, que les hommes. Mais depuis 99, qu'on ne rogne plus du tout, c'est beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup mieux. Et les vignes sont de mieux en mieux en parfaite santé. Elles sont belles. Les vignes sont très belles. Au début, tout le monde rigolait parce que bon, cette vieille folle, elle ne voit même pas que ses vignes sont en train de crever. Maintenant, plus personne rit. Tout le monde vient voir quand même. Et se dit, tiens, quand même. Elles sont très, très, très belles. En pleine santé. Belles.
When I'm back with Taste the Wine, I'll talk about some great ways to describe wine, what to pair Burgundy with, and I'll get up close and personal with some of the region's winemakers. Wines in Burgundy fall into 4 classes. At its most basic, the wine will simply say AC Burgundy on the label. Village level wine is next, and you will see AC and the name of the village on the label. Even better quality are the Premier Cru, or first growth vineyards. There are more than 500 Premier Cru vineyards, and the words Premier Cru are usually noted on the bottle. The finest vineyards of all are the 33 Grand Cru, such as Chambertin, Musigny, or La Tâche. You can't go wrong ordering a wine with Clos in it. Clos means wall. Years ago, Cistercian monks mapped out the finest vineyards in Burgundy and put walls around them. Clos de Lambray, Clos de la Tarte, Clos de Blanc-Rouge, Clos Saint-Denis. We've all tried to describe the sensation of drinking a wine. And if it seems as though the scent of chocolate, a bouquet of roses, and a rich, full-bodied taste is a bit much, there's a reason for them. They're called descriptors and are extremely useful when it comes to identifying what you enjoy in a wine and come in handy when ordering. Here are a few simple steps. First, there's the aroma, or what we would call the smell of the wine. Take a deep whiff, and you may conjure up scents that include fruit, tobacco, earth, and yes, even chocolate. There's also the body, which is the weight of the wine in your mouth. This is where the terms light-bodied, medium-bodied, or full-bodied come from. And there's more. Dry wines are the opposite of sweet. A crisp wine means it has good acidity. A fruity wine means that the taste or smell implies fruit, as opposed to being sweet. An oaky wine suggests oak flavors, often from being stored in a barrel after fermentation. A soft wine is smooth, while a tannic wine is firm. Just a few of the terms that are used to describe wine, known as descriptors. And if you're still in doubt about what descriptors are, here's a few more as I explain what foods Burgundy should be paired with. I'm a red Burgundy girl. The perfumed, ethereal character of Pinot Noir never fails to bring me pleasure. Burgundy is a highly intellectual wine, and yet it's so versatile it can be matched to a wide range of cuisines. Its tannins are firm, but never obtrusive, so you can serve red Burgundy with fatty fish, such as salmon, with roasted chicken or duck, and even suckling pig or roast lamb. Pinot Noir's delicacy gets lost when paired with heavily spiced dishes, so the key is to serve Burgundy with simple flavors, even pasta. If you're not sure which wine to serve with a meal, serve Burgundy. And there's nothing quite like getting winemakers to talk about what they would pair their own wines with.
For this one, probably some meat. I mean, some either beef or lamb. Lamb is the perfect match from a good chef. That would be. But every wine has an analogy with some food. And with, for example, a Swiss fondue, I will never drink a Montrachet, but I would drink a Montrachet with a fish or maybe with cheese. Why not?
Burgundy, fine wines in an intriguing region. The winemakers there are equally interesting with their own stories to tell. Here are a few. How do you keep the reputation of your wine so high for centuries, 500 years?
Well, I think that the most important thing to keep this reputation is, I use again the same word, humility, because again, what has gained the reputation of the wine is not the people who made the wine, even if they were very important, but it is the potential of the terroir. And for instance, here at the domain, I think we have been for the same family for a certain number of generations, and our philosophy has always been that, be to the service of the terroir, not try to create anything of yourself, but obey to the terroir. Voilà.
Now you work quite a bit on the commercial side of the business. What's your favorite part of the business that you're in?
Well, commercial part, not so much. I'm much more working on the communication. I like to work on that, and especially to write about wine and try to transmit my passion to the people who read. For instance, now during the harvest, we make an everyday report on how it's happening, what's the news every day. So for 15 days, we're working very much on explanation on the harvest.
Faut être toujours, faut qu'on prévoie ce qui va arriver. Faut pas attendre que la maladie soit déclarée. Il faut se dire, tiens, le temps est à l'orage, il a fait beaucoup de pluie, c'est très humide. Allez, il faut faire un traitement avec un tout petit peu de cuivre et la tisane, parce que les tisanes, c'est quand même très important, et la tisane qui convient. Donc la tisane, c'est une infusion de plantes. Et ça nous aide beaucoup. Là, on découvre beaucoup de choses, on essaie beaucoup de choses. Et je pense qu'on avance un petit peu. Voilà.
Ok, nous parlons de les vins.
Oui.
You have...
Dans les vignes, il y a encore une chose très importante. Pour que les vignes soient belles, pour qu'elles fassent des beaux raisins, il faut que les vignes soient très belles. Parce que c'est elles qui font le vin et pas nous. BGO ou Chambertin, c'est pareil.
Yes.
On fait les vignes, on les traite toutes de la même façon. Pas de discrimination.
Wine, first of all, is not made to be tasted, but to be drunk. And I think that people
doing a good job.
Yeah, cheers. And the thing is, I think that wine is needing some food to match with. Wine on its own is okay, but if there is good food, just to put the best side of the wine showing off, this is much better. And then you need people. You cannot drink on your own down in your cellar. You have to share the wine with some other people. And I think that wine is sort of the cement of diplomacy first, friendship, and maybe love.
I hope you enjoyed our introduction to the Burgundy region. Be sure to join me for more wine trips soon. In the meantime, here's a look at some of the places I visited and some of the wines I happily drank. Enjoy, and remember to always taste the wine.